Welcome. We bid you welcome, John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner of the world, up to the limit, episode number 11. I'm losing track of the numbers anymore. But anyway, we're talking today. I'm going to start this off a little early. We're going to talk about Predator. But let's get the folks in line here. John, the Music Nut from the Music Nut program. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. How y'all doing? Welcome,
Oh
Jake.
man, and of course our good friend from the music, my
My
I gotta get that right. Is it my music state?
yeah,
Jake Knott from State Farm, the name I coined for him, and
it's stuck.
it has stuck with him. Don't ask me why. I'm one of those weird kind of people who do this. But Jake, how you doing, my friend? You got to go check out his channel. He has just started up a Megadeth Monday, so that's a great thing to be looking out for. So two great channels here to be liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting on whatever, following you want to do with it. Please be doing it. It does my heart good to know that you guys are checking them out. So, Predator. Let's talk a little bit about the 11th studio album released in 1996, very early 1996, just after the first of the year. Recorded at 16th Avenue Sound Studios in Nashville, Tennessee, where Wolf was living, I believe, at the time. Released only on the RCA BMG Areola label. Producer Michael Wagner, so he's back in the fold. We we have a considerably shorter album this time around, and as opposed to the as opposed to the last one, about 48 minutes here. Um, one single only, and they took a long time to release this on single. According to Wiki, it says September 96, they released the song Heart Attack on single. So we'll talk more about that as we get into it. Not too bad on the reviews. All music, only about a 2 out of 5. Hard Force out of France, 3 out of 5 stars. Hard and Heavy, also out of France, 3 out of 5 stars. Martin from the Martin Popoff, he gave this looks like an 8 out of 10. So I probably need to. I'd be curious to see if he's upgraded that or downgraded it or something. But anyway, not a lot of charts action again. We got the. I'm gonna touch John's touring action here. I'm gonna actually try and say some of the name of these charts, uh, and as they're just to twist my tongue up a little here. The Schweizer Hit Parade from the Swiss charts, number 49. No, I'm not even going to try the Swedish charts. That's number 28. The Japanese charts, the Oricon charts, number 56. The Suomen Virallin Lista charts, that's just the Finnish charts, number 27. And on the off the top 100, the German charts, number 56. So there we go. Predator. So we have yet another fill-in drummer. We have Michael Carleone from Damn Yankee, soon to be the Leonard Skinner drummer, filling in for drums. I don't think he sounds much different, really. I think he fits the mold. I think here quite well in this album. So, but before we get into that, Jake,
Yes.
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
uh, we're all Jake and I are both feeling a little slightly under the weather, so we'll hopefully not be coughing and sneezing throughout the entire show. So first, Jake, let's get your point of entry, as I coined it, into accept, and then you know the drill here. We're going to give you the reins and let you talk about Predator a little bit.
I feel like I kind of have 3 point of entries to accept. My first one was God. Around that time of like 12 to 14 when I discovered a lot of these classic metal bands on VH1 Classic. And it wasn't actually Balls to the Walls. It was the Midnight Mover video. And I have still have this very vivid memory. Came on, and my dad comes running out, and Dad just turned 60, so he don't run anymore much. But I remember him coming running out and he's like, "Who is this song by?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Why? I need to know." And I was like, "Hmm." And he's like, I remember sitting there and he's like, "We used to call this the AC/DC metal band when I was in high school and when I was out of high school and everything." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so then that was how I found Accept, was through there. And then I got in on the ground floor with the Mark Tornillo stuff when that came out with Blood of the Nations. And then those three '90s albums, skipped over them. And John the Music Nut asked me when we were doing the Ripper albums if I'd ever listened to them. I was like, I don't think so. And so then I went and listened to them on Apple Music, and that was kind of my introduction to these three '90s albums.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah,
All right.
um, I this album's kind of all over the place though. I feel like a band is a brand. When you become a band, you have a certain style and sound you represent, and that's the product you're selling to people. And when you go off the rails, go a little bit different, your fans are going to ill receive that. There's a lot on here that's different. It's very well, mid '90s you had a lot of industrial elements seeping in on here. It kind of reminds me of Doro's Machine to Machine meets Kiss's Revenge. Not that Kiss's Revenge is bad, but and then you throw in a little bit of Alice Cooper's Brutal Planet in here too, and maybe a little bit of Jugulator. It's really all over the place, I feel like, stylistically on this album. You open with Heart Attack, which is overtly sexual lyrics, very non-consensual. I feel like it's the album cover fits that Predator album cover you're always showing, John. Maybe that's the precursor to that. Yeah, that's the scene that happened before this song took place. Um, Solid bass in the mixing. The guitars are solid. The solo is decent, bit bluesy, but it's really not like, I wouldn't say it's Accept's greatest moment. And to open the album with, you get this, and it's kind of average at best, and Accept's, a little bit more known for that. There's other songs I feel like that would have been better to open with. Then you go to Crossroads and you get Peter Baltus sounding like Gene Simmons singing. Peter sings a lot on this album, and I actually think the songs Peter sings are some of the best on this album. But he sounds very Gene Simmons-esque on here, and I love that about this. We haven't heard Peter sing since what? God,
Restless and Wild?
something like
Breaker.
that.
Or Breaker?
Breaker?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Breaker. Yeah.
it's been a hot minute. It opens with cowbells and it's a duet with Udo, but Peter steals the show on this. Absolutely steals the show. Um, you know, it's catchy. It has some distortion on the guitars, the rhythm guitars at least. I don't really remember a solo on here. Excuse me. Sorry. Um, but the duet with Udo is a unique touch on this album, I feel like, really unique, or on this song. Um, One of my favorites on here. Then you go into Making Me Scream. It's a simple song about being frustrated without getting anywhere in this world, and constantly being downtrodden, and just you're always fighting that uphill battle. I feel like that's easy to relate to. Um, but then where it gets loses me is it goes into those, at the time, the heavy super distortion. There's some processed vocals. It's very not Accept on this song. And there's that mixed bag that doesn't represent the Accept brand, I feel like. And I feel like I'm dogging this album, but I'll put this album on and I'll listen to the whole thing. And it's like, oh, I'm not saying I have a great time listening to it, but when I put it on, it works for good music to have in the background. I don't have a bad time. I'm not like skipping songs, but when you sit there and dig it apart, you're like, this song just isn't the best song for Accept. This really is what were they thinking a little bit here? You know, they're being a bit trendy, trying to chase the trends, stay afloat in the 90s. And that's what you get with that song. It's got some saw blade like leads that maybe would have been found on Jugulator. I feel like those. Eee! And then you go into digging in the dirt, and that's got another more industrial feel to it, and the super processed vocals. Like these vocals are so processed, very, very processed and echoey and distorted too. The solo on this one is absolutely pathetic. Like just it's one of the worst accept solos I think you can find out here. It's I was listening to it the other night and I was like, man, Wolf might have needed some Viagra or something for that guitar because this just sounds flat and just like it can't perform. I'm embarrassed by this solo, man. It's not a good solo.
Hmm.
Go back to the drawing board and rethink this here or something. It's not good. Um, Lay It Down. Peter's back. We got a good song here. Oh wait, is Peter or is it Gene Simmons? I'm not sure which one we've got here. Um, this song's great. I love this song. It's a song about extreme loyalty that turns to betrayal, and Peter just slays this song. It's got a solid beat and rhythm. I- Again, that I feel like the guitars aren't as impressive as they should be, but Peter carries this song. I often wonder when you're listening to this what this album would sound like if they would have let Peter just take the reins, sing most of these songs. Would it have been a little bit better received? What would have they gotten? Um, because these songs where Peter's on leads just they're so much better than the Udo songs. I don't know if that was because there's tension between Udo and the rest of the band or what. And then you got It Ain't Over, which starts with a solid bass and guitar. Um, Peter is back to being, what does my notes say? I can't read my own notes. But yeah, Peter's back. There's some screaming guitars. This one has actually some really good guitars. Um, I really like It Ain't Over. Again, it's another solid track. Um, again, these are the most solid, I feel like solid tracks on here, except for there's two later on that really shine and capture the classic essence of Accept. After that, you go into Predator, which starts with these tribal drums and it has that more industrial guitars and the vocals on this thing are so processed. It kind of reminds me of a mid 90s to early 2000s Motorhead when Lemmy would get those like processed vocals for an effect. And it makes me wonder would have this song been better recorded by Motorhead than Accept? It's it's just this song just doesn't really work for me for it. Like when you dig it apart, it just you're like, I don't know if you guys were thinking this through or you were thinking more of following the trends of the time. Vocally, it's a very catchy song. The vocal bit is catchy, but it's when you sit there and look at it, it's like this just isn't the Accept brand at all. This is like when you order a chicken sandwich and someone hands you just a regular you open your thing and there's just a regular cheeseburger in there. It's like this was not what I ordered, guys. Crucified. This is classic, except I feel like it's fast, it's frantic, it's got the gang vocals, um, a furious guitar, great solo. This is probably one of the better solos on this album, and it's one of the only classic accept songs on this album too. But you're all the way towards the back half of the album before you find classic accept. And this probably should have opened the album with that fast and frantic beat that it has. And you're like, oh, this is the band I'm looking for. It's just I, it's not the brand except that you're used to at all. Um, Take Out the Crime. Again, I feel like this is more classic, except this is a super catchy song. It has a bit of processed vocals, but the chorus is super catchy. Um, Don't Give a Damn with a drum intro. It's fast, it's loose, it's more, I feel like, again, classic, except steady beat. You get these three songs, eight, track eight, nine, and 10, and they're all in the back half. They're fairly short songs. And then you're like, classic accept is over. That's the only classic accept moments on this record. And they're not at the beginning, they're not in the middle, they're jammed at the back of the album. And it's really weird. Run Through the Night. It's a ballad. This could be considered classic, except it's a catchy ballad, I think. Solid guitar work, catchy riffs, catchy chorus. It makes you want to sing, I feel like. So, you're looking at four songs maybe that represent classic accept, but then you've got all these other that are more trendy, experimental. It's a really, like I said, a mixed bag. And then you end up going to the last song, which is probably the most experimental on here, and you guys can grab your pitchforks and everyone can because I actually really, really like this. The bass through here is a killer bass line. Absolutely killer. Fun bass line. It's Peter's back on vocals. It's a political song about well, you're kind of sick of all the political bullshit and you just want to go and be primitive, man. How many of us are feeling that this week? But I actually really, really like this song. It's kind of got a bit of a Doro's Machine to Machine, like it's got that the drums are drum machine. It's got that processed. It's very like put into a computer and made with a computer almost a lot of it. But I love this song. It's not an accept song by any stretch of the imagination, but that bass and the way Peter delivers the vocals, I would give that song a 10 out of 10 as a song. As an accept song, I would probably be like, you guys were really thinking deep here, guys. You guys were going way off the rails with this one because everything else on here was very different. And then you get to that and you're like, this is even more different than anything else. But as an accept record, I don't reach for this a lot. When I put it on, I don't have a bad time and I'm not skipping anything. And like I said, the songs that Peter sings are great. I think they're the highlight, even if they're different. Those four end tracks before Primitive, classic except, I would probably give this a six, maybe a five as a rating. It's not the worst album, it's not their best. I don't reach for it as much as a lot of the other ones, but there are times where I'm like, man, I want to listen to Accept with Gene Simmons on vocals.
Gotta love that. Oh yeah. Oh
Am I the
man.
only one who thought that he sounded like Gene Simmons?
I didn't think you sound like Gene.
Oh,
I no, I picked up on that. I
okay.
picked up on that on Crossroads especially. That's the one I picked up on it the
Hmm.
most. Not all the time, but all right, cool. Thanks, Jake.
You're welcome.
All right, John. Let's see what you think about this one.
He's
Well,
really,
I needed a reminder of why I don't like this album.
Oh no.
I I listened to this really hard. Am I off here? This is a band that sounds creatively exhausted. They there's no great songs on here. There's good songs on all the. I don't even know if there's anything that's really that good. I mean, a few that are good, decent, maybe. Oh, yeah. You could see why the band broke up after this because they were lost. And I don't think the songs are here. I don't like the way it's recorded. I don't think that Michael Carlone was a good. I mean, he's a good drummer, but he's not a metal drummer. So they lost something without Stefan. So there's very little fire. I mean, they're trying, but here we go. Heart Attack. Sounds like a deep cut on those latter day AC/DC albums that aren't that good. Udo now sounds like more like Brian Johnson, and now the backing vocals sound more like AC/DC than those Teutonic gang vocals that you had before. This was the only single. It's not that good. Crossroads, little better. You think it's going to be a duet, but Peter only sings that first part, and the rest of it is Udo. Udo, as Jake said, his vocals are processed. He sounds so reined in on here. You hear very little of that Udo charm. It's just not that good. Decent musical bridge. I like the nice guitar line and the choruses. It ends acoustic, which is nice. It's okay. Making Me Scream, you have the guitar going from one channel to the other. Very 90s groove metal, new metal. Udo, again, sounds reined in. What are you doing with his vocals, Michael? And I don't think it's a good song either, Jake. And there is a riff in here. Sounds like a variation of Princess of the Dawn, but not quite. Not comparing the songs because you got vast differences in quality here. No. Digging in the dirt. I do like the start-stop riff. Again, I wrote what the F is up with Udo's vocal in my notes. And the solo. Yep, I agree with Jake. Holy wah-wah pedal, Batman. It is not good. I do like the riffs. There is some conviction here, but lyrics are terrible. We'll talk more about that. Lay It Down, I think, is terrible. I think it's just nondescript. It feels like faceless AOR. Lyrics way below their standard. It's not that Peter sounds good on the lead vocals, but I just don't think the song's good. I think the riff in here, one of the riffs in here sounds like King Nothing from Metallica, but not half as good. It Ain't Over Yet. Probably my favorite song on the album. This is a nice mid-tempo groove. Except we're very good at doing these mid-tempo grooves. Very atmospheric, like Wolf solos on here. Wolf sounds like Wolf on here. The studio effects actually work on this song. This song I like. Predator, horrible. Oh. Chorus, Predator, keep you alive. No. Nondescript solos don't sound like Wolf. It is fast-paced, but the loud guitars are drowning out Udo. That's the thing. Udo's so reined in a lot of times. It's like he's being overpowered on so many of these songs. A lot of times you can't make out what he's singing. And then when you can make out the lyrics sometimes, and you can make them out a lot better with Peter, the lyrics, not good. Crucified. Well, there's a good riff on this one. This is a good song. This is played with conviction. It's heavy. We got a nice breakdown on it with the wah-wah guitar. The lyrics aren't the greatest, but, it fits the song. Ain't nothing but a game. Going insane. Roll the dice again. Crucified. At least it sounds like Accept. Like Jake was saying, I'm looking 8 songs before I hear something classic like Accept. Yeah, there's a strong point there. And from here, I don't really like anything else. And it's not because the songs are bad. It's just that I've heard this before. Well, not the last track, but Take Out the Crime. This stop-start riff on here sounds a little like Son of a Bitch. It's decent, but decent isn't Accept. I mean, I'm used to good and great with Accept. I mean, even the albums that I didn't really care for, there were a few songs I thought on each album that were knockouts. Yes, even Eat the Heat. Don't give a damn. I don't give a damn what you think of me? No. By the numbers, except musically, silly chorus. Run through the night. This riff, this sounds awfully familiar, but I can't put my finger on where I've heard this before. John, do you know?
No. I
This
thought the same
sounds
thing.
very familiar. But again, we got more AC/DC like choruses that very silly. Primitive. Ooh, this is bad, is what I wrote. Where have you gone, Accepts? I don't like the percussion on this. This sounds like a reject from Queen's Hot Space album. Even the guitar sounds a little bit like Brian May. Ew. There's 3 of my least favorite songs by Accept on this album. Glad we did this series. I needed to get more reacquainted with this album again. I think this is going to sound weird. They made 3 albums in less than 3 years, which was quick by those standards. I mean, these aren't the 2 albums a year days of the 70s anymore. We're going more an album every 2 years. They just sounded like they didn't have an idea. Let's just do what everyone else is doing and let's see how it goes. I don't like the recording. I don't care for too many of the songs. There's nothing great. I mean, when a song like Break the Ice or D Train from Eat the Heat blows away everything on this album, I mean, it's saying a lot. In the words of Arn Anderson,
Ooh.
I give it a 4.
Ooh. Ooh.
Sorry, we're more critical of the bands that we love. It's just
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I could see why the band broke up. I mean, I bought this album in the late 2010s, and I was like, oh my God. I mean, that's how I felt then. I would have truthfully, I would have rated it a little lower then. I mean, after listening to this over and over, I'm like, okay, there's some stuff on here I like a little bit. But no, I'm glad they came back, and I'm glad they kicked our asses again. But I'm glad this is not the way they would go out, although it seemed that way for a long time. So yeah, I give it a 4.
Ooh. Okay. Good stuff.
Thanks.
Good stuff. What do I have? What can I add to all of this? I think when I started listening through this album again, when I started really digging into this, so the first thing I notice as I look on Heart Attack, it's written by Wolf, Peter, and Udo. No Deafy. Gee, I can't understand why. I think Spinal Tap called up and said, "Hey, we wondered where that song disappeared to."
Yeah.
I mean, that's to me lyrically, you could put this between Sex Farm and Big Bottom with no problem. And then follow those 3 songs off with Donation. Because Donation's not much
Right.
right in that same lyric. And this is 1995, 1996. Why are we still doing songs like this?
Yeah.
That just seems so out of place.
Well, that was a weird trend though, because Doro had like Tie Me Up and The Want
That's
and
true.
the
You're
year
right.
the year before, and some very overtly sexual songs, which was unusual for her to be that graphic too.
I will admit, yes, that is true, but I think a lot of those 90s Doro albums, nobody was seeing those. At least I think these were still being seen in stores. Those 90s Doros albums for the most part, like Machine to Machine,
Mhm.
I don't even know that. I didn't even know that existed until some time ago. I think a lot of that stuff just got completely glossed. I mean, not that Doro she was not a top tier
Mhm.
person, band act at the time. she was always that good little support person
Mhm.
who seems like she opened up for literally everybody or did a festival with at least everybody, but she just never got that big time popularity, So yeah, just like kind of like Raven. Those 90s Raven albums are pretty much completely forgotten
Yeah.
that they even existed because nobody knew about them because they were always either released overseas. And I don't know about Machine to Machine if that had a domestic release here, but a lot of that stuff, yeah. Anyway, yeah, Heart Attack, yeah, Spinal Tap called. And um, yeah, I mean, it's like a modern sounding 80s track is all I could get out of it. Yes, it has AC/DC time at times. It has that AC/DC feel, which I said to the guys before we went on air that we should have made this show a drinking game. That every time we said that a song sounded like AC/DC, we should be taking a drink of something. But I didn't want us all to be completely plastered or whatever by the end of the show. I kind of like that breakdown around the 3 minute mark. I thought that was a pretty cool musical passage. Musically, I kind of dug the song. I liked a lot of where this was going musically. Just lyrically, Crossroads, yes, the return of Peter on lead vocals. I like the Middle Eastern opening. You get some cowbell, you got acoustic guitar, you got like you guys were saying, a much process sounding Udo here. Yeah, I like the feel of the chorus. I get this impression though the song is kind of like a don't ask, don't tell vibe. That's kind of what I get here. Uh, longest song on the album. What about a little over 5 minutes, I believe, which is considerably after when the last album, most of the songs were over 5 minutes long.
Right.
I like the little fade to that kind of that unplugged outro, which I thought, yeah, we've heard that a few times before, but it sounded nice here. I kind of dug that. Making Me Scream. I like the Stomper opening. Interesting musical choices. Yeah, kind of insanity and atmospheric song. That whole ending though was so just like everything was coming together. It was like the end of Day in the Life, but just didn't, but not quite as together as Day in the Life was, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
That's about the best way I can really describe that. Let's see. And of course you have the return of Deffy on lyrics on both of those songs. And then you have the knock room service. Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Doesn't even tie to the song. I mean, really. So I'm like, that was a head scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Digging in the dirt, and we're not talking a remake of Peter Gabriel's song,
Which is fantastic.
which is a which is a fantastic song. Yes.
That song is awesome.
I love that song. Yes. Uh, I think it's to me, I wrote down here a mix of old and new groove, except another kind of an angry song. We are not the same. I'm not even going to continue to go any further than that on the song. There's not a whole a lot more I can really say about it lyrically here. Uh, Lay It Down. I what I got out of the lyrics here is like giving your life to someone or something, and it just either turns on you or it fails you. That's what I was getting out of this song from the lyrics. Another Peter lead vocal, it's more of a stomping groove. Now, John, what was it that Peter was singing a lot when he would sing lead vocals on those early albums?
Ballads.
Yes, he, there ain't a ballad to be found on this album.
Mm-mm.
Not really. So he's actually singing some rockin' songs.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew? Oh, should he have gone with the whole singing on the whole album? I don't know. But anyway, let's see what it was. So that was Lay It Down. It ain't over yet. So you get the slope three-piece opening, which was nice. Another Peter led vocal again. Not really much different sounding wise, really, than Lay It Down. Lyrically, I think there's I think you have some nice swagger in the vocal or in the verse, but that's about it. Um, yeah, and that was only a Peter and Wolf written song, by the way. Let me make note of that. Um, Same with Lay It Down. Udo's not involved with the writing on that. So that's an interesting little side note. Um, Predator. Ted Nugent called. He said, "Hey, thanks for making my song sound a lot better." Uh, yeah, that again. Yeah, you get that percussive opening that sounds like you're in a safari somewhere, which I think works with the lyrics and everything. But you get a little grinder verse, but really simplistic, kind of just like I said, not much better than the "I Am a Predator" Ted Nugent song.
I know I'm killing
Uh,
myself. I'm kicking myself for not thinking of that, and writing that down. I mean, this song makes "I Am a Predator" sound like a classic, and we
yes.
all know how primitive that song is.
Oh, oh God, you're crucifying me with these jokes. I love it. Crucified, energetic song, mix of classic and new with the odd jazzy chord twists, which I thought was a nice little touch. Again, kind of a live for the moment, life is uncertain type of deal. Uh, Take out the crime, hey, just rid the world of its evil and all that it's filled with. But yeah, again, just nothing standing out musically here. It's just like,
Right.
yeah. Don't give a damn. Yeah, I could so hear AC/DC doing this song. Again, uh, just read the lyrics, very self-explanatory. Shortest song on the album. That clocks in, I think, at like 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Run Through the Night. Like you said, John, I feel like I've heard this riff 100,000 times already, and I just can't think of what it is. So y'all in the comments, if you know this song, fill us in. Help us out. What are you guys hearing? Um, Seeking for Hope, Finding None, not quite the ballad, but it has the emotion of one, is kind of what I thought. That's kind of what I got through with Run Through the Night. Primitive, this is all I'm going to say. This is all I said about Primitive when I first heard it. WTF. Um, it's basically just Wolf and Peter just going at it with programmed drums. Um, Yes, I'll give the bass player here it's due. Yes, there is some good bass work going on this, and I think I think there's good stuff to be said on all of this. Musically, yes, I think there's some good things to be heard on this album. Um, I was gonna say a 6 on this, but I think I'm just gonna go more like a 5.75. I just it's got its fun moments, but it's just not it's just a disappointment that they just kind of used up whatever they had left, and they were like, okay, let's just go off and do our own thing, because Wolf would go off to do his own solo stuff with like the classical stuff, and then Udo would become pretty proficient through this time period. I think he would release quite a few albums, I think, before 2005 when they tried to do a little reunion thing. But yeah, so there you go. Oh, this was painful. I don't know about anybody else, but this one was painful. So John, what kind of tour did I know there was a little bit of a tour?
Well, when you go on Setlist FM, it'll say Predator/Farewell Tour
Oh, okay.
because they thought this was the end. And then this album, they recorded songs from this tour for the album that would become the final chapter. And now it's out as Access All Areas, I believe. I don't actually have the live album, but here we go.
Excuse me.
They did 43 dates. Most of them were in Europe. They hit Japan for 3 dates and one in Argentina. In the States, we are playing small clubs like the Metron in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Spankies in Baltimore, Maryland, Macaras in Springfield, Massachusetts, Toy Tiger in Louisville, Kentucky, Alrosa Villa in Columbus, Ohio, and Crowbar in Toledo, Ohio. I believe they also played Andy's in Cincinnati, Ohio. I think they hit that venue quite a bit. And I think Wasp hit it quite a bit, and a lot of other heavy metal bands did in the 90s. But then we go to Germany. And after I give the dates, I'll tell you what songs they played from this album on the tour. Actually, I take that back. They start in Switzerland. On this tour, the opening band is Vicious Rumors.
Oh,
Promoting word of mouth. On the US tour, they were joined by LA Guns, who were promoting Vicious Circle, and then American Hardcore would come out later that year. So, getting back to Europe. Z7 Concert Fabric in Pratin, Switzerland. Alte Giaberre in Hellbrunn, Germany. Hyde Park, Osnabrück, Germany. Ruhrrock Holland in Dortmund, Germany. Extremes in Västerås, Sweden. Pumpahuset in Copenhagen, Denmark. Stenshore and Company. That's the name of the venue. It sounds like something that makes Amish furniture. In Uppsala, Sweden. Tavasti in Helsinki, Finland. Tulla Kamaran, Klubi in Tampere, Finland. Sala Celeste in Barcelona, Spain. La Locomotive in Paris, France. And then Le Bikini in Toulouse, France. Belmondo
Can you
in
say
Prague.
that last one again?
Le Bikini in Toulouse, France. Belmondo in Prague, Czechia. Cobra in Slingen, Germany. Cemento in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And they ended in Japan in Matsushita IMP Hall in Osaka and Nakano Sun Plaza in Tokyo. So there you go. Oh, songs that were played from Predator. Crossroads, Our Favorite Heart Attack, It Ain't Over Yet, and Making Me Scream. So there you go.
God. So they hit the album a little bit, but not intensely or anything like that.
And
So
they would play a song from Death Row, and I think they were playing one or two songs from Objection Overruled as well.
oh, so they were mixing the setup pretty nice.
They really were.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That is always a good thing when they can do that. So, all right. Well, Jake, what kind of stuff you got coming up other than Megadeth Monday?
Tomorrow is Rust in Peace, I'll be joined by John the Music Nut, and we take a very, very lengthy chat and talk about Rust in Peace. I think that's the longest episode so far. So yeah, please join us.
Not by a little.
Yeah. Yeah, not by a little either. We had a hard time keeping it serious there for a little bit.
Free-form conversation.
What we love, folks.
Yes. Then I'll be on the Contrarians doing top 5 music videos. And I think that's it for now.
Okay. All right. John, what's cooking down the pipeline here?
All right. My top 10 albums from 1970, or my favorite albums from 1970. That's out there right now in the Music Nut program. Then Lizzie Thursday continues. Right now, Jailbreak is out there, and this coming Thursday, November 14th, I will be doing the 7th Thin Lizzy album, Johnny the Fox. Grants Rock Warehouse, we're going to be doing the One and Done series. I don't know if this is going to be live or if this is going to be taped, but we are doing from the One and Done. And John, I know you're part of this as well.
Yes. I'm just digging for the.
I'm waiting for John to put it up, but here it is. He's got the vinyl. HSAS Through the Fire.
He's always got the vinyl.
No doubt.
I just happened to find it at my local store not too long ago. Oh, I gotta snag this up.
There you go.
Cool.
And as Jake mentioned, yes, I'll be on his show. That show will already be out by the time you watch this, but we're going to talk about Megadeth's Rust in Peace And that's pretty much what I got going on right now. So there you go.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Well, last week I added a couple new little quick series to my repertoire of things. The Mortification Monday. It's Australian Jesus Christian metal band that I just been teasing it in my head. I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And then I started doing a track ranking, an album track ranking series, A to Z. So the theory behind this is um I'm gonna start with I started with AC/DC. It was Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. So I ranked the songs there on Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. And then the next episode, which you guys will I can't tell them yet because it hasn't come out yet since I haven't recorded it yet, but it's going to be a band that begins with the letter B. So just imagine that. So then C will be a band that begins with C, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to do that. I just thought it'd be something a little different. I don't know why. It just seemed like a good idea. I thought I'd give it a shot, see what happens. And I could just and I have to have a copy of it. I can't be just doing something off my Spotify or iTunes. I want to actually have a physical copy of it. So that's going to make the challenge there. So yeah, the B band, that'll be fun. That will have come out by this point. So yeah, and then I've been just again, you can see me on the Contrarians. Um, Grand Stark Warehouse. Of course, I'll be doing the HSAS. Um, yeah, and that's about all that I've got lined up at this point. So, but I mention a ton of channels in my descriptions of these videos because there's so many people out there that have great shows, and we have gotten the chance to network, and now we have community, and that's really the best part of this whole thing, and I love that. I love that we've been able to connect here with Jake and John, and and Jake's making some waves out there too, so that's really cool. It's just a wonderful thing to watch, folks. That's just my feeling. So again, like, share, subscribe, tell me what you all think of Predator, the album. Yes, I'm gonna pull. I will actually pull the right one out for a change. I'm not gonna pull. I'm not gonna be goofy on you here. So yeah, let us know what you think of this. What you thought of this. Next week, they had about a 15-year hiatus. We got a little bit of change. We have a new sheriff in town. Blood on the Nations. Like, share, subscribe. You know all that thing. For Jake, not from State Farm, from my music state.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, brother,
Thank
for
you
being
guys.
on us. We so appreciate you. My co-captain on this almost 2-year-old Wednesday night journey, John the Music Nut from the Music Nut program. John Clauser, John Metal, the Metal Deck, coming to you from my music corner of the world. We'll see y'all soon. Take care, everybody. Rock forever.